Blog Talk Radio.
Now, get up out your seats. Coming to the ring. Now, but I'm wondering if you can bring it with one win, no losses, undefeated in the streets, weighing in over 300 pounds. IHWE Radio. When the round bell is ringing in the ring, then I'll be singing. I'm here to get that crowd loud. I'm wondering if you can bring it. When the round bell is ringing in the ring, then I'll be singing. But I'm here to get that crowd loud. But I'm wondering if you can bring it. When the round bell is ringing in the ring, then I'll be singing. I'm here to get that crowd loud. But I'm wondering if you can bring it. When the round bell is ringing in the ring, then I'll be singing. But I'm here to get that crowd loud. But I'm wondering if you can bring it.
All right, everybody. Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, 6 p.m. on the not-so-sunny coast of California. We're kind of having some rain tonight, unfortunately. But anyways, we are here. IHWE Radio is live. I'm your host, Michael McCurdy. As always, the creator and author of Encyclopedia WCCW and many other titles, which, someday I'll get onto those. Joining me, as always, is the man with multiple titles. So many, I can't remember them all. I'm just going to call him my co-host, David Fuller. David, how you doing tonight?
I'm good. It's been a wild, crazy month, and there's more to follow. So, yeah, proud to be here. Happy to be here.
A little bit too much going on in your world right now, David? A little too busy?
A little bit. Busy's my middle name, but, it's a good busy. A lot of stuff going on, but, everybody has stuff going on in their lives. My stuff's no more important than anybody else's. Just balancing directing the show, getting started on my book, the live event, the Southern Wrestling Hall of Fame. Being a father, and my wife's kids are here. They've been here for about 3 weeks now, and we have a 2-bedroom apartment, so it's been fun.
So you're ready for them to go home?
Well, I don't necessarily know if I'm ready for them to go home or if I'm ready for us to get a bigger place. I think it's maybe a little bit of both, but, we'll be moving here soon, so hopefully that problem will be taken care of. But we got a good show tonight. We got a member of the 2015 Southern Wrestling Hall of Fame, Steve Cox, going to be on, and hopefully Michael Elliott will be on later on to tell us about Rock and Roll Forever. It's been completed. I actually got my rewards from the Kickstarter campaign day before yesterday, along with the package you got me from the Colorado Alley Club. Thank you again for that. And so I'm a happy guy.
I have not received my rewards from the Kickstarter campaign yet, but my luck is they're probably sitting in the mailbox right now. I just haven't had a chance to go pick them up yet. Now, the care package, man, I got to ask a question. The shirt I bought you, I'm not going to tell the listeners what size it is right now, but that shirt I bought you, you're wearing that shirt in the picture, right?
Yes.
Is that you modeling it in the photo?
Yes.
How little are you? That shirt is loose, dude, and it's a small.
And you just said you were going to tell listeners what size it was. You're a terrible liar.
Not yet.
No.
Not yet. Well, I said I wasn't going to tell them yet.
Well, you got to remember, the shirt had not been washed. And so that's the only excuse I can come up with. Smalls usually fit me snug. So I don't know, man. I didn't make the damn shirt. I didn't make the damn shirt. I'm just wearing the damn shirt. So
and it's a good looking shirt, man. Charlie Smith did a great job with that, as he always does every year.
Very good looking shirt.
I've got every shirt from 2006.
I used to buy extra larges because I thought I was bigger than I actually was. And now, so half of the shirts in my closet I got all these shirts from all these pay-per-views and all these wrestling shirts, and they're all extra larges. So hopefully Luke will be a giant compared to me, and he can wear them later on because they're just sitting in my closet, and I refuse to get rid of them because some of them are WrestleMania shirts and pay-per-view shirts of shows that I've been to, and I refuse to part ways with them. So,
dude, I'm thinking an extra large on you might be a dress, but that's just...
Yeah.
I see you guys like here around here in Cali, walk around, got your baggy pants clear down to your kneecaps and your shirts that hang down to looks like you raided your father's closet. So I don't know if, they have that in Texas, but over here we call that kind of gangsta.
We have it here in Texas. I try to look respectable. Of course, if I'm not doing any kind of PR or if I'm not in the public eye, not that people are constantly following me around. I don't want to give that impression because it's inaccurate. But right now I'm wearing a sleeveless shirt because it's hot here in Texas, and I'm also, because it's been raining, I got a hoodie on. I'm walking out on my patio, and I've got sweatpants on. And unless I'm doing some kind of an appearance or something IHWE related, you will see me in sweatpants. So I am George Costanza when it comes to that. I will wear sweatpants. I'm my own boss, and this is what I do for a living, and I will wear sweatpants as much as I humanly can. So
I can understand that. I'm a basketball shorts type of guy. That's my thing. If I'm not working,
sure,
I'm in basketball shorts. It can be pouring down rain. I'm in basketball shorts and sandals with a hoodie. You figure it out.
It's all good. Hang 10, brother. Surf's up. Hey, big news.
Anyway,
big news. Big
exactly.
news for TNA. Big news. Segue.
I was about to say that, big news there. Dixie Carter just announced that Bound for Glory in October is going to be from Tokyo, Japan. I think that's going to be kind of an interesting setup. I don't know. Haven't heard any details. I'm going to assume the show is going to be live, but I'm not sure because I don't know what the time frame difference is or whatever's going on there. But just being from Tokyo, Japan, that's pretty big.
It's actually, yes, and it will be from the Kurikan Hall. And Kurikan Hall is one of the most legendary venues in Japanese wrestling and the wrestling period. So many great wrestlers, so many great warriors, not just from Japan, from all over the world, have competed in Kurikan Hall. It is a landmark in Japan, and it could be, it's one of the, it's like the Boston Garden. I mean, I'm trying to equate it to the United States so people can know how important Kurikan Hall is. Kurikan Hall is one of the most legendary venues in professional wrestling, and especially in Japan. I don't know. I'm like you. I'm mum on the details as well. I think it's a huge step. I think it's very innovative. They're going to be teaming up with Wrestle One with the great Muda, who is one of the biggest names, not only in Japanese wrestling, but in wrestling period. TNA, I said it, I think TNA is really trying to change the public's perception. Can do it. They don't, a lot of people have given up on TNA, and that's their prerogative. I'm not going to sit here and say people should buy into what TNA is doing. If you don't like TNA, then don't watch it. But as long as people are making money there, and as long as they're on television, okay. I'm very interested in what they're doing. We had this conversation, I believe, last week. I hadn't ordered a pay-per-view, and I believe you're in the same boat. I don't think either one of us had ordered a TNA show since Hogan versus Sting at Bound for Glory a couple of years ago. We both ordered Slammiversary, and we both had very positive things to say about it. And I think the momentum started there. They made a really good switch this past week when they made Bobby Lashley the heavyweight champion. Bobby Lashley's credible. He's legitimate. He's got a great look. He can work. And he's got as far as I know, he's got no skeletons in his closet. And now they're making a big leap, and they've got a whole week of tapings in New York City, which is the biggest market in the entire world to do anything. New York City is the market. And if you can kill it in New York, you can kill it anywhere in the world. And they have lined up three big tapings at the Hammerstein, the Manhattan Center, I believe, where Monday Night Raw began, where ECW ran so many shows, Ring of Honor, the list goes on and on and on. They have brought in some huge names, the Great Muta. They've got Jeff Hardy going to be battling Bobby Lashley for the TNA title. They got Destination X. They've got Loki. They've got Homicide. They've got Jeff and Matt Hardy teaming up again for the first time, and God knows when. They've announced that Bound for Glory is going to be in Tokyo. They're bringing back the six-sided ring. They are doing a lot in a very short amount of time. I believe it's to maybe get back some of those fans and say, hey, come back and let's show you what we can do. Now, hopefully, a lot of people have said TNA's biggest problem is they have people that can go. There's just a lot of talking. Hopefully, they scale that back because TNA has shown when they go out there and they actually wrestle, they can put out a really good product. They don't need to be like WWE There is only one WWE, and there will only ever be one WWE. There needs to be an alternative. And now the Ring of Honor has kicked the door in and said, hey, we're back on traditional pay-per-view. You need to take a look at us. There is that spot available for the alternative. Everybody needs an alternative in life to everything. Wrestling does need an alternative. WWE doesn't necessarily need direct competition. They need an alternative. TNA can be that, and a lot of people can go through TNA. If they don't want to go through NXT and go through developmental, TNA should be an option. Ring of Honor should be an option. Global Force Wrestling should be an option. There should be a lot of different options available, just like in the territory days. It's better for the business. It's best for business, that little cliche that keeps getting thrown out there. I wish nothing but success for TNA because I want there to be a viable alternative. I don't want viable competition. I think they need to be an alternative, and they need to focus on being an alternative. Because I think if you compete, hey, if you try to compete with the NFL, you're going to lose. If you try to compete with the NHL, you're going to lose. You try to compete with the NBA, you're going to lose. But if you can put on like the Harlem Globetrotters, what do the Harlem Globetrotters do? They put on an alternative. If you don't like traditional basketball, come see the Harlem Globetrotters. It's a variety show. But it's an alternative. That's what I think TNA needs to do, and hopefully that is what they do because they have a lot of eyes on them. They have a lot of eyes on them the next few nights in New York City. Let's see what they can do. Let's see how it comes out on television. I hope nothing but the best for TNA, really. They got a lot of good people there.
Oh, definitely. Excuse me. As I said, you had mentioned, I enjoyed Slammiversary. I thought it was a very good show. I try to watch the weekly product, when I can. I mean, 3 kids and all that, sometimes, a little hard.
Sure.
But the one problem that I see with TNA, and this kind of bothered me last week when I was watching the show, and no knock on them, they've got talent, but the TV product needs to be worked on. 4 days prior to their live show on Impact, they had the 3-way match inside the cage. People paid their $40 to see the pay-per-view. But then they give you a title change on free television.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, yes, that's going to attract the crowd because people are going to watch what's going to happen next. But it can kill your pay-per-view buys because who's going to want to buy a pay-per-view if they know that, well, hey, in a few days they'll just put the belt on whoever on free TV. In my opinion, not the greatest of choice.
No, you're right, and it was a big pay-per-view. It was in a huge market. That would have been the time to do it. I mean, we don't work there, so we don't know, and it's not our allergies. It's not our decision to make. But as a consumer, I would have rather have seen a title change at the pay-per-view. But it seems to be the last few years in wrestling, more stuff is negated towards television ratings. More big angles happening on television. You're going to get to see your clean wrestling matches, but the big angle might not be until years ago. Angles happened on pay-per-views and on television, but just the whole wrestling landscape has changed over the years. Not that it shouldn't have. Everything has to evolve. But really weird. Really weird to do that. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I love Bobby Lashley being the champion, but I probably would have done it at the pay-per-view. But really weird because they had a really good match at the pay-per-view. You had a really good 3-way that was thrown together at the last minute, at the 11th hour apparently. And 3-ways are tricky. They're either really good or they're really bad. There's no middle ground with 3-ways. It's a very hard match to do. Anybody if you've never wrestled before, 3-ways and as a booker as well, 3-ways are the hardest match to put together. It is very hard to put together. There's a reason for so many years nobody ever did a 3-way. There's a reason. Now, there have been some great ones, don't get me wrong, but there's also been some that have stuck to join out. 3-ways are very hard. They're either really good or they're really bad. There is no middle ground with 3-ways. So they're really hard to put together and they're really hard to perform in. So, I agree with you 100%, Michael.
Now, one thing you did happen to say there was that the 3-way was put together at the last minute. The original main event was supposed to have been Eric Young versus MVP. So as far as we know, it might have been EY was going to retain the belt at Slammiversary, and then MVP was going to do the thing on Impact and put Lashley in. They might have stuck with that storyline. So we don't know. There are some variables.
Right.
Now, another option you mentioned was Ring of Honor. They did make their national return to pay-per-view last Sunday. I don't know if you happened to watch the show or not.
No, I didn't. I heard great things, though.
I happened to be home, saw the price, $25. $25 for 3 hours. Good deal.
Mm-hmm.
Thought I'd check it out. I'm not up on current Ring of Honor, but what I saw, there is some talent there. It kept my attention. I was amazed by some of the stuff I saw. I will say it right now, I'm an ACH fan. That guy is just nuts what he does.
That makes me feel good because he got his start down here in Texas. And he wrestled for me. Yeah, he got his start down here in Texas. As far as I know, I think he was down in Austin and he started going, I don't know the full story on Albert. I call him Albert because that's what I know him as. He wrestled for IHWE twice in 2010. Great guy. Huge Ninja Turtle fan. Cowabunga. I believe he had the Ninja Turtle wristbands when he wrestled. But he came along. Yeah. He was innovative. He was very innovative in his extremely innovative. He's extremely high octane as far as his attitude and his personality. That's who he is. He doesn't play a character. That's who Albert is. Okay, I've spent a little bit of time with him. I don't know him as well as a lot of people here in Texas do, and I won't pretend that I do. But the little bit of time I got to spend with him, he's very down to earth. He has a goal. He's living his dream right now. He's a guy that started down here, saw that there was a bigger stage outside of Texas. He grabbed the brass ring, and he is riding it right now. But he started down here in Texas. I'm extremely proud of him because he wrestled for me a few years ago, back when he was still working the independent circuit down here before Ring of Honor. I'm extremely proud of him. Raymond Rowe is another guy who started down here in Texas. As far as I know, Raymond could have started somewhere else and then moved down here. But anyway, the last few years he's been wrestling down here, and now he's contracted with Ring of Honor as well. They have a ton of talent. There's a reason why why somebody is always watching what Ring of Honor does. There's a big reason. I mean, look at the last few years. Seth Rollins, Antonio Cesaro, Cassius Ohno, even though he's no longer in developmental, Daniel Bryan, CM Punk, the list goes on and on and on, Samoa Joe in TNA, Davey Richards, Eddie Edwards in TNA as well. There's a reason why Ring of Honor is respected because some of the biggest names have come through Ring of Honor. Not necessarily started there, not necessarily cut their teeth there, but Ring of Honor for a lot of guys was the first big promotion that they got to show their stuff on. Because Ring of Honor kicked in the door in 2002 immediately and had Eddie Guerrero and had Low Ki and had the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, on their shows. And as soon as Ring of Honor started, they were kicking doors in everywhere they went and said, look at us. WCW had just went under. TNA either hadn't started yet or they were just starting the weekly pay-per-view concept. And Ring of Honor came in and said, look at what we have to offer. And so for a lot of guys, Ring of Honor was the first place with a huge following that they could show their stuff on. So I'm really glad they're back on pay-per-view, even if I think it's only going to be I don't know if it's going to be a quarterly thing or whatnot. I'm extremely happy for them. We had Dan Bynum on the show a few weeks ago, and he works with Ring of Honor in television production. He's going to be at the IHWE show in September. I'm really glad that they had a really good show, and I hope to see more from them. I didn't get a chance to watch it, but I know the mentality there, and they definitely have the talent to do it. So good for them.
Oh, yeah, it was definitely an interesting show. I mean, the opening match was a six-way match for the number one contendership for their television title, which I believe is Jay Lethal as their champion. I'm playing this strictly off the top of my head because, like I said, I do not know a lot about Ring of Honor. But, yeah, the six guys, you had ACH, there was Tommaso Ciampa, I think his name, which was Antonio Cesaro's tag team partner when they were in Ring of Honor, if my memory serves me correct. And then there was, I can't think of all the names, six guys under a Lucha Libre rules, which is basically two guys start the match. If one guy's thrown out of the ring, another person can come in and take their place. You can tag any one of the four corners in, so there's no real actual partners or anything. And it was just one spot after another, but it was flawless. It was amazing. There was no spot where you were like waiting or they messed something up or they missed a cue or something like that, however it works. It was all just seamless. It just went. It was an amazing match. And that was the opener. You also had Jay Lethal defending the TV title. You had Kevin Steen on there, who I believe was just signed by WWE, if I recall that, about a week ago. I think they've signed him. Kevin Steen, I've seen him before. The guy's build is very kind of basic. He's not the muscle guy. He looks kind of like the average everyday, but the guy can work. You had Matt Hardy and his partner versus the Briscoes. First time I've ever seen the Briscoes wrestle. Those guys impressed me. But the main event of that show, which was Adam Cole versus Michael Elgin for the title, that match was huge. And now there is a new Ring of Honor champion. Michael Elgin won the match. If you get a chance to see the pay-per-view, I highly recommend it if you can see it on YouTube or they put it up or it's available on DVD somewhere. It was a great show. It kept my attention from beginning to end. I will admit, I watch a TNA pay-per-view or Slammiversary and I watch that. There's a couple things in there I kind of slowed down on. I was doing other things. WWE, there's always at least one match where I get up and go get a soda or use the bathroom. I'll admit it. I sat for 3 hours and watched Ring of Honor.
Right.
Not one, because I'm new to the product. Two, they had some amazing talent. Those matches were great.
Right.
Now,
well, that's good as a consumer. That's what they want to hear as a consumer. So that's great, especially you. You've been watching wrestling for a long time, and you know if something sucks. So it's really good that they took somebody who you knew Ring of Honor, you knew of the talent that came through there, but as far as what was happening then and there, you were oblivious. You tuned in, you paid your money, and you were a happy consumer and thus a returning consumer, and that's good.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. I mean, I wish I could get their TV or whatever they've got going, but this is the first one, like I said, other than, the best of CM Punk or the best of Samoa Joe, stuff like that. Sure. I've never actually seen a full Ring of Honor show, so.
Right.
Now, talking about wrestling shows, we were talking about a three-way match. You announced the match, and I have to ask you a question about this because I'm going to guess you came up with this concept. And I wish I could be there to see this. I'm assuming it's going to be for an IHWE TV show later on in the year. You've got a three-way match at Showdown. Now, if I understand this right, it's a three-way match, but it's 2 out of 3 falls.
Yes.
Is that how you booked this thing? Can you explain that to me? What was going through your mind? Because a triple threat match is crazy enough. You added 2 out of 3 falls on that thing.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, on any given night, and especially in a three-way, anybody can catch the fall. Anybody can get lucky. And once people watch on July 30th, once people see the first match, America's Gregory James and Ashton Jacobs for the DFW title, once people see that on IHWE TV, they will know why I made this match. There was nothing screwy. There was no... The man, Americas, took advantage of the situation, not anything illegal or immoral. He just came in, and like I said, you'll have to see the match for yourself. But he did it, and, but on any given night, anybody can catch a fall. But for a guy to go in and win 2 falls in a triple threat match, that, to me, tells me and shows me that guy is the guy. So, I mean, I was like, well, we're going to do another triple threat match, but what if the same thing happens? So I'll make it 2 out of 3 falls. And not only that, I will be the special guest referee. So I'm going to be the one
that's intimidating.
that's going to make the final call that night. So there will be a winner. If we have a draw at the end of the match, the contest, I'll make it go sudden death. So somebody's going to have to win 2 falls in that match to walk out the DFW champion. You're going to have to earn it that night because these 3 guys are the future of Texas wrestling. Anytime they can pull the trigger and they can take over this stage. They haven't yet. They're all still learning because they're young, still young in this business. So, but they're going to go in there. They're all going to, my goodness, like I said, when people see this match on July 30th on Night City TV, when the world at 10 o'clock, you know, on whatever device they watch it on, sees Gregory James. They get introduced to Americas. They get introduced to Ashton Jacobs. They're going to see three guys that they're going to be watching for on television sometime in the next few years. These three guys have all been looked at by Ring of Honor, all of them. They're going places. Okay, so the first match was really good, and it was weird because Americas got thrown in at the last minute because Bear Brown was at the building. He was scheduled to go. Then he hyperextended his knee doing moonsault springboards during a workout. And I took the kid out because he went to the urgent care clinic right around the corner, and they said, you hyperextended. But that kid's got a bright future. Americos had already been booked. He was going to be in the Terry Gordy Battle Royal. He's an international sensation. He had just wrestled in Las Vegas during the CAC, during the Vendetta Pro Wrestling Show, the Cuba Rat, or during the CAC, the Cuba Rat. So, I mean, he is a sensation, and he is sought after. So, you know, I was like, well, we went ahead and we already had two guys booked. I advertised a three-way. Americos is here. He's got a great reputation. Let's put him in there. Talked to Americos, talked to Barrett. Barrett wished him well, and then we went and did it. And Americos walked out the champion. But now there is, now there's this match. And, yes, just a triple threat match by itself is nuts. But now you add in the fact that somebody has to catch a fall twice on two people. That's insane. It has match of the year, match of the night. There's a moment waiting there. There's going to be a moment in that match. That match is going to create some kind of moment. And it's going to happen that night, and I love that. That's what gets me excited. That's what, you know, just gives me goosebumps, because I know there's going to be a moment. I'm going to witness it firsthand in the middle of the ring. Plus, those guys are going to get me in better shape than any gym could ever. So the referee will be blown up probably when the match begins on August 30th. But it's going to be great. Showdown is shaping up to be a fantastic event. Charlie Haas is going to be there, and he's going to be making his debut September 28th as a performer. But he'll be there August 30th to check out the action. And so I try to stay ahead of the curve, Michael. And it's very hard these days. There's not many matches that never been done before. I don't know if anybody's ever done a three-fall triple threat match. I'm sure somebody has. I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm this innovative genius. Somebody probably has somewhere, but it hasn't happened down here that I know of. But it will happen in the main event, August 30th. It's going to be off the chain. And, yes, it will be a taping place for TV.
Well, that's good. So at least I know I'll be able to see it at some point.
Yes.
So that's always positive.
Exactly.
And, of course, September 28th at the Old School Hustle. At this point in time, the balls are rolling. The host of IHWE Radio, yours truly, will be there live, Fort Worth, Texas. Anybody wants to come by, say hi, tell me I suck. I don't care. Come on over, say hello. I'll be there. I'll practice my signature so I can sign an autograph for you,
Michael.
If I have some Texas fans, that'll be cool. I'll wave at people, shake some hands. I don't care. I probably don't, but, I'm still going.
I'm sure
I want to be there.
Sure somebody likes you. Sure somebody likes you.
Somebody your son might like me. Kids like me.
He might. He likes everybody right now. Right now he likes everybody, but
enjoy that. Enjoy that, yeah. My children, some days they like you, some days they hate you. You never know what's going to happen.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Well, I know we're waiting on our guest.
Yeah, we're waiting. Just actually had a conversation with him just a second ago, a little text there. He'll be calling in here in just a few minutes, so we will be joined by Steve Cox this moment. Now, you said he's a member of the 2015 Southern Wrestling Hall of Fame?
Yes, he will be inducted. I think we made that public. If we haven't, we have tonight. He will be inducted. Steve Cox, he's got a long history in the Southwest, Oklahoma, Texas. Steve Do It Cox, and he has accepted the induction. He will be inducted whenever the Hall of Fame is. We haven't decided on a date or a venue yet, but he will be part of that 2015 class along with Tim Storm along with the Giant Warrior, and along with the Von Erich family, which will be very good because I know Steve Cox is very close to the Von Erich family.
Very cool. I'm hoping I can make that as well. So, want to come to a Hall of Fame.
I don't know if I can handle you being down here twice. I told James Beard. I told James Beard. He said, I told him, I said, Morgan's making noise about coming down here on September 28th to watch out for Matt Riviera. And then James said, well, tell Morgan I got a barn he can stay in. And I was like, no, Michael's going to be staying there. So you need to keep the barn open because that's where Michael's going to be. That's where I'm sending Michael. I told you I was going to take care of your accommodations. I just didn't tell you where.
Thank you. Now, if you're listening to this, folks, this is the high-class accommodations the host of his radio show gets. I get the barn.
That's it.
At least I'm hoping it's the hay loft. I hope I'm up in the loft, not down on the ground with the animals. But
then
this is David.
What I would suggest is you just make James as happy as possible.
James and I got along very well in Vegas. Nice guy. Did have to play a little bit of a game I like to call, where the hell is James Beard? Because I spent an hour running around the building trying to find him, or the hotel. So that took a little bit of doing. People have seen the video on YouTube now. I believe it's got 400 or 500 views going on there. Last time I checked, and went across flawlessly. What they didn't see was me running around like a chicken with my head cut off trying to find James Beard. Find James, got to try to find Morgan. Can I find Morgan? Well, Morgan's easy to find. He's sitting down at the bar. Usually got a girl by his side. So that was pretty easy. I just had to tell him to put down the drink, come upstairs. If Morgan is listening,
that was the hard
sorry,
part.
I didn't mean to. Getting Morgan to put a drink down and get away from the bar, that can be difficult.
Yeah.
But
it probably would have been a lot smoother promo had the drink been kept in hand. But I
might
think
have been a great promo if we did it right there at the bar.
Might have been. Well, no, you had a hard job of running around physically in Las Vegas, and I was the poor sap sitting on my couch here in Fort Worth with a laptop and a cell phone trying to coordinate this phone with Michael, Morgan, and James Beard, which was no easy task in and of itself. I am thousands of miles away, and I'm trying to coordinate this with 3 physical people in Las Vegas while I'm in Fort Worth. But we made it happen. Michael did it because he was physically there. We made it happen. And the wonderful director that I am, Michael called me right before. He said, okay, bullet point. Boom, 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 got it.
There we go. We're done. We are professionals.
Yeah, that's one word for it. I believe our guest is on the line, Michael, so I'm going to go ahead and
guest is
step
on
off
the line.
here. And I'll be back. I'll be back around 9 o'clock, Michael. Or we'll talk on Facebook. And ladies and gentlemen, enjoy your time with Steve Cox and Michael. I'll be back.
This is going to be one hell of a date. Anyways, as David flies the coop and leaves me on my own here, but I think I can handle it. I am a professional. I do my job well. We are being joined tonight by a man who many of you saw in World Class. He was a protege of Michael Hayes, tag team with him. They wrestled Super Class 3 against the Samoan SWAT team. He also did some time in Global Wrestling Federation. And it has just now been announced to me, I'm assuming now we might be making a public announcement, that he is a member of the 2015 IHWE Southern Wrestling Hall of Fame. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to IHWE Radio, Steve Cox. Steve, how you doing tonight?
Oh, hey, I'm doing great. I apologize. I might be running behind here. But, yes, I'm doing fantastic, still alive and kicking. And in our line of work, that's a good thing.
I've started to learn that there. Got a chance to talk to you in the past. I've talked with Manny Villalobos, Terry Sims. Guys all kind of got the same stories. The bumps and the bruises and all that have kind of taken their toll, but you guys are all still going. You all look good. So, in reality, that's all that matters, right?
But, I was actually Dr. Ness' protege getting started. And it was Bill Watts UWF, but, bringing up Michael P.S. Hayes' name and working with him quite a long time. His thing was, we'll die young and make a good-looking corpse. And sad to say that a lot of us made some good-looking corpse. But, I like you're saying, we all got about the same story, but everyone should say the same thing. we wouldn't go back and change a thing. You know, it's an unbelievable profession. It's an unbelievable way to make a living. Unbelievable way to just actually travel the world and get to do things a lot of people only read about and dream about.
Well, I want to say right now publicly for everyone listening and anybody else who might download this later, I want to thank you for all the time you put in that ring, because I know as a fan of World Class and working on the book and all that, I enjoy watching all the matches now that I have on DVD. I enjoyed watching all the stuff then through ESPN. I watched the Global Wrestling Federation. You were part of that. And I just want to thank you for all the time you put in, because, you know, I don't think you guys get enough credit sometimes. You guys go in there, you're entertaining the fans, you're doing something you love, and I think it's time, we need to show our appreciation. Let you guys know we appreciate what you did, and I'm just saying right now, thank you for everything.
Well, and you know, I'm with you on that, and I appreciate you saying that, because, you know, back in the day, you know, I'm from that kayfabe era, and it was a real small clique, and like you're saying, the talent level, you know, and you're starting to see the effects of no more territory, the amount of talent level just to feed the beast, which is WWE. But, you know, every night we went out, and if you're a consummate pro, a true worker, you know, you wanted to steal the show. You want to be the guy they left, you know, talking about. If you weren't main event, say about first match, second match, third match, everybody I worked with back then, you know, were workers, and everyone really showed up and they brought their A game. And, you know, I really think as we proceed forward, especially the way New York is, especially with social media, people are starting to realize, you know, the type of talent that was in these different locations, AWA, NWA, WCCW, UWF, you know, that the talent level is just there. True consummate workers, old school, you know, back in my day, you really had to be a tough guy also, and, you know, go from there. So, but you're right. And, you know, that's just sad to say. A lot of these guys gone before their time. And, you know, a lot of these younger kids, like you're saying, they're really tied up like, you know, you know, you had to be in New York here or nobody, but really go back with YouTube. See, that wasn't even around. We didn't even know something like this show up. But the opportunity, like you're saying, to go back and really look at some of this work and the way they worked their matches and who they were and worked their gimmicks. But thank you. And thank you for the guys that come before me, and thank you for all the guys that come after me.
Oh, most definitely. Now, you mentioned social media and all that, and you're on Facebook and all that, and I'm sure, you know, later on we'll let people know how they can find you and all that. But how is that like now? You know, you're on Facebook. You're obviously getting friend requests from people who watched you back in the day. You know, how is that? You're able now to connect with the fans that watched you back then that maybe you didn't have that chance to do back when you were in the ring. So how does that feel?
Well, yeah, I tell you what, it's neat for the simple fact, you know, people tell you, I literally probably had 35 to 40, I figured out, I don't know, guessing, 35 to 4,000 matches in my career. Because, you know, I also worked, you know, I finished out my career. Actually, I was working with GWF. I was working with UWF in Japan. And, but, you know, I had a lot of matches, and you just don't see that no more. You know, we're probably the tail end of the old school territory crowbar end. But like you're saying, fans, what's nice, make contact with you, tell you about a match or tell you about what went on or how they met you or, you know, something about your past that truly I do not remember. Between having a good time and running the road and so many matches, you know, it's hard because it's just like you're saying, I didn't realize I had a match with Eddie Gilbert. You know, you're just sitting on, damn, I had a match with Eddie Gilbert. And because, you know, I worked with a lot of the top names back in the day, but that's the fun part, you know, and really that, you know, the driving factor is, you know, it's the love of the business. When they talk about passion and a craft and, you know, it's just neat now to have these fans that really love, you know, everything went on back in the day, but were actually had their butts in the seat and telling you about different angles or matches or where they're at, you know, either, you know, Sam Houston Coliseum, Sportatorium, you know, Kemper Arena. I mean, you know, it's just neat to hear that from the fans.
Now, you said you started off with, you had mentioned Continental. You came into World Class in around 87, I believe it was, and that was when you came in. Now, did you come in as Hayes' tag team partner, or did he did that come later on the little sketch on some of those details?
Yeah. Well, it was funny. You know, I used to train at this gym in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and that's where Steiner worked out, Rick Steiner, Sting, you know, Warrior, you know, all the guys. Well, anyway, Bill Watts had to come by, and he handed him his card and said, you know, I was thinking about getting into wrestling. Next thing you know, I looked at it. You know, I was a real stooge, you know, I wasn't even a supermarket. I didn't know really anything about the business. And I played at University of Tulsa. But so I went and got some boots and did about 4 or 5 indie shows and kind of got a feel. And I went in and did a tryout, which is kind of funny. Bill, you know, he meets me in the back, says, come here. And they were going to do TV that night at the convention center downtown Tulsa. And he said, just hit the ropes. And I'm running, and, you know, I think Bill Irwin was there, Akbar, Watts, and Doc. And they're just talking, and I'm just running the ropes. Dun, 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 boom, dun, 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 boom. You know, and I kept waiting for somebody to go stop. And I kept hitting the ropes, and nobody said stop, hit the ropes. And then, you know, they kind of talk and turn around. And then Bill says, that'll do. I'll see you. Come to my house. And I was, you know, in a week, and then you'll be in the ring in 2. And that's how I got my start with UWF and running with Watts. And they brought me in as Dr. Death's protege. Well, you know, I had a pretty good run there for about a year and a half. And NWA Crockett Promotions bought out UWF. So, you know, when they started merging and all that, they had to start letting guys go, which is, you know, obvious. I was probably the greenest guy of the bunch and all that. And even then, about a year and a half into my career, I probably had 280 matches because, you know, you work twice on Sundays, and they had me working tag. You know, I was always out in the ring and trying to smart me up old school wise. Plus, I was getting the shit beat out of me. I was crowbar. But anyway, I was let go. And back then, again, there were still territories. So I'm sitting around, and, you know, Dusty Rhodes, you know, was going to make some calls for it. I said, well, Dusty, you know, I need to take a break. I'll be honest with you, you know, I was beat up, tore up. I mean, I was just bagged out from the road. And so I get home, and then Geico called me out of Kansas City. You know, Harley Race started up there, Pork Chop, you know, Bulldog Bob Brown. I'm just so happy I actually said I got in the ring with Bulldog Bob Brown. And I was doing some shows up there. You know, the pay's okay, but, you know, it kept me, you know, I could relax. And I was working 3 to 4 shots a week, which, you know, I wasn't that much back then. But, you know, in today's world, shit, these kids would kill for 3 or 4 shots in a week. But I get a call from Pritchard. Says, we're doing a show at the fairgrounds in Tulsa. He says, you know, we need somebody to tag up with Michael Hayes and the Samoans. And are you in? You know, is that how much? And, you know, what do you need? And so I showed up, and we went out and did a tag match. And, you know, Michael starts out heat on me. Michael makes a comeback. Let's take it home. And I passed the test. And anyway, I get a call again from Pritchard saying, come down to Dallas Friday, doing TV, you and Michael tagging, run against Samoans. And I went in, and one nice thing about getting broke in with Watts, being such a promoter, you know, he pretty well taught me how to make my own deals, which you got to anyway. But I went down and made my deal with, I started with Pritchard, and then Fritz just walked by and said, pay him. You know, it's kind of funny, just pay him. And did a handshake, and off we went, you know, and it was, you know, I was still, you know, I was a worker, you know, I was coming out to be a worker, but, you know, I never really worked tag full-time hardcore. But what an experience, you know, it was a blessing, because I'm telling you what, you guys, I mean, back in our day, everything was tight, snug, real deal, romp, stomp. And, you know, when you're working the ring with Samuel and Fatu, then you throw Buddy in the mix, you know, I literally was learning on the run. It was like, oh, here we go. But it was great. And then Michael, you know, I learned so much just about being a showman. Interviews, walking the walk, talking the talk, you know. And then I really enjoyed the working style of the Samoans. And you know, with Samu, Fatu, then you throw in the Coquina, and then Fatu's brother. You know, all the Samoans, they work big and hard, big wrecks. And tempo, and, you know, Sam, hell, he was working up in New York at 16, something like that. So, you know, just amount of talent level. Then you throw in the Von Erichs, you know. Then you got Black Bart running around. Then you got Iceman King Parsons. Then you got Gentleman Chris Adams. You know, names are names. And, you know, you just get thrown into that. You know, you either get smartened up or you're bounced out. And I pretty well got to the point where, you know, you really just, like a sponge, you open up to everybody and you watch how they do their work. And really, you know, in the business, it's hard to be original, but I can sure steal your stuff and make you think it's mine, you know. So, but that's kind of how I got started down in Texas. So that's kind of a little story behind that. Because I was also UWF Rookie of the Year, me and Shane Douglas, you know, so in that regard. So, you know, back in the day, literally everybody we were working with, you know, ended up being names. And so it was fun.
Now, you mentioned, you know, you're tagging with Michael Hayes on it. He was the Lou Fez Lifetime Achievement Award recipient at Cauliflower Alley just a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Had a brief minute to speak with him. I mean, he was kind of busy doing his thing, and he told, you know, in his acceptance speech and all that, and, you know, first thing he said was that, you know, he can't accept this award by himself. You know, he wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Buddy and Terry and all that. Now, he told some great stories, and I've heard that Michael is just a legend as far as, you know, back in the day with the road stories and all that. What was it like working with Michael Hayes, traveling with him on the road? And are there any stories you can kind of share with us that might be, well, politically correct or safe for radio or?
Oh, yeah. Michael, you know, he literally lived the lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? When they pop the fizz, you know, you don't stop till, it's gone. You know what I'm saying? And so they're going and blowing, and so anyway. Boy, I can tell you a few. You know, Michael is, you know, he thinks he's a rock star, you know what I'm saying? And we're down in South Louisiana at a bar. He's like, Cox, get up here. Start singing. Well, I can't sing, you know. We start welling in the microphone. But literally within 2 hours, everybody in this bar, hey, take care, guys. I'm doing a radio thing. Sorry. And the whole bar was literally topless. I mean, just, you know, if I wasn't there to see it, you know, Michael, he could work it. He worked the crowd. And then this big old fat boy, Louisiana sheriff, threatened to shut down the bar if everybody didn't put back on their shirts. But, I mean, Michael literally was always on stage, you know, always working it. But we were singing, Whiskey was flowing. And that very same night I was leaving with Brad Armstrong, and Michael had two blonde girls in each, you know, he had a blonde at each arm, and you know, when they got pretty good drinking on Michael, he always called me college puke out of love, you know, just, and he goes up to this car and trying to put the key in, and I'm like, Michael, man, God dang it, let me drive. You can't drive. He goes, I've been partying and drinking, you know, mate. I can out-drink you, college puke, son. And these two girls are standing there. And I'm talking about good-looking girls. You know, only in wrestling. You know, it's kind of like in that business. But, I mean, South Louisiana, blonde-headed sweethearts. But he's trying to get the key in. And Brad, he's even sober than I was. He's like, come on, Michael. Come on, man. Let us drive. He's just going on. And finally the girl goes, Michael, this ain't our car. Yeah. So me and Brad, we had to literally fight Michael, and the two girls got it pretty easy, but we threw Michael in the car and got him back to the room. But that was just a night with Michael. I mean, I could go night after night after night after night with those kind of stories right there, you know, kind of along those lines. And it was fun. I'm telling you, fun guys, great people, you know, and it was a really good time, and I learned a lot from him. But I'm glad to say I'm probably the only guy that nobody knows about. I was the only Freebird and a Midnight Express. I worked on both teams against, you know, with Cornette and Bobby and Sweet Stan Lane and all that good stuff. So, but yeah, but that was like literally I could go story after story like that with Michael Hayes. So, or all of them, really. I'm
kind of guessing that pretty much everybody can go story after story about Michael Hayes. I think everybody I've talked to has had at least one, if not a book.
Oh, well, you know what's funny when they planned it? I tell you another funny story was Crockett had a private plane, big prop. I mean big, like a school bus with wings that flew the boys around. And we landed in, gentleman Chris Adams just got out of prison. And we landed the plane in again, some part of Louisiana. And we landed on the thing, and there was like no lights. We were just a goose, this, I was probably going to kill ourselves. But we landed this for cell phones and Dusty Rhodes, the Meccan Dream, and then you had, Flair and Arn Anderson, and, who's who, right? And they're getting off the plane, we're down there, and I'm just standing there like, I was always a rookie, like, Cox, go find a payphone. All of a sudden we hear this commotion on the plane. I mean, knockdown, drag out. We're like, holy shit. And, I didn't really know Chris Adams that well. And so anyway, all of a sudden the pilot, and, it took, it was one of them, how they pop the door open, it sets down, you got 5 or 7 stairs to get up into the cabin. This pilot comes flying off. Just flying. Takes a bump right in front of everybody. And, Michael's like, man, I think we're going to make money with you. About that time, Chris Adams pokes his head out, screaming, "Are you bloody more?" But and then after that, they went and got a pilot hat and all that stuff. But and Chris Adams was a great guy, except when he drank. But yeah, it just, that's what I'm saying. I look back, and the nice part is I've gotten involved with a movie project, and they're listening to all this. Plus, it's going to be an autobiography of another guy, but it's going to be a neat deal. So, but yeah, that's wrestling back in the day, baby. Oh, daiquiri huts. After that flight, Crockett said nobody can drink daiquiri huts. Anybody from South Louisiana know what I'm talking about. But anyway, I think I got off course here a little bit, but that's a funny story. But anyway, let's tell where that was at.
Now, as part of the team with Hayes and all that, you were facing a Samoan SWAT team. It was managed by Buddy Roberts on it. And
right.
You guys were part of the Super Clash 3 pay-per-view, which was
right.
Obviously the main event was Kerry versus Lawler for the unified title.
Right.
What was the scene behind that? Because that was supposed to be like the big pay-per-view that was going to kind of merge everything together. What was going on behind the scenes at that pay-per-view, and just what was kind of the general reaction to everything that was happening at that time? Because that was supposed to have been the big merge of
Well,
the
you know,
groups.
the thing of it was, and here's kind of the vibe, because I really took the lead off of Mike and the Samoans, and it was, we're taking care of our own, and we're going to steal this show. And I don't know if you ever seen our match in that deal. We killed it. We got a 5-star rating with it, we flat on that whole pay-per-view. But it was like, take care of our own. And another thing was, Jägermeister was sponsoring it. And, there really was too many boys thrown too close together, and a lot of partying was going on. And as crazy as it sounds, PS, myself, everybody, we kept it on the low perk just till we hit our match, after our match, god dang off we went. But I'll tell you a funny story about that. After that match, that night in Chicago. But anyway, it was kind of like dog eat dog. Here's where we're at. Territory's falling apart. Rome's burning. But we're going to go out and do our show. And, but yeah, because it was funny, because Kerry, was supposed to gig, get some juice for Lawler. And he was putting on baby oil, which him and Terry Taylor, when you're in the business back then, baby oil is just drizzling shit because it's just hard to, messes up your tie. Anyway, and he juices underneath the arm, and, and we're sitting there, and I'm like, Lawler, man, you guys have to do something with your match here. He's already juiced out because he gigged himself real good underneath his arm. If you ever watch the start of that match, you see where they take his arm and bang it over the turnbuckle, and off they go. But yeah, it was just kind of like everybody taking care of their own because nobody knew the direction of what really was going on. Because, after seeing the merger with UWF, NWA, this thing going on. But yeah, we literally were just, our goal was to go out there, steal the show, take care of ourselves, and go from there. But it was crazy because, it was like a super, they grabbed all these different wrestlers and their own names, put them all in one big old pot and started stirring. But, I had a good time. It was a great time up there. And we had a hell of a match. And they gave us a 5-star, one of the best matches they ever seen. So I was happy.
Well, I've seen the pay-per-view. I have it. I have a very old kind of grained-up copy of it, which I believe was actually made you a copy of. So, I have seen it. It was a great match. But what people don't realize, or maybe don't remember about the Superclash pay-per-view, was there was actually a lot of guys on then that were names in their territories. You had Lawler, you had Terry, Jeff Jarrett was on that card. But you also had, Cactus Jack was on that card. He was in a 6-man match. Yeah. And obviously now, Cactus, Mick Foley, and everything else. There was a lot of talent on that pay-per-view.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Diamond Dallas Page, hell, he was still scared to get in the ring. Hell, he was the manager of the Diamond Dolls. And, yeah, Mankind. Yeah, when he was down in Texas, I was laughing. Getting introduced from Pittsburgh, PA, which, he hung out with Troy Martin, which is Shane Douglas. And, but yeah, we're the ones that came up with Truth or Consequences in New Mexico. And I liked him, and to where he got, he's a very humble man, stayed humble. You go from there, I think he's working with the Guerreros. I love Chavo. He smartened me up. He was probably the first real guy that kind of took me under his wing and smartened me up. And, you had Sergeant Slaughter, like you said, Lawler, the Bull, Manny Fernandez. Jeez. I mean, there's a lot of talent, And, but yeah, just the way the business was changing. Everybody respected the territories except one guy, and good for him, Vince. He's the last one standing. But, now it's biting him in the ass. It goes back to all that. Where do these guys go to learn and get smartened up? Which, as now, that the Cane Center down in Florida, they're not cranking them out. But it's an old profession. I mean, it took me 2 years and 500 matches to get to where, okay, I'm not an idiot. I can pretty well follow and pick up on what needs to be done, so. But, yeah, that was a great deal. That was a great time, and that was a great show. We had a good time there before and after and everything, so, yeah.
Now, do you keep up on the current product?
Yeah, some. And really, I love the twins, Fatu's kids. I love that Shield. And Orton. Orton, that kid's got it. You know what I mean? He's a walking natural, so if he just quit getting in trouble, But, yeah, it's any of the new kids, so. But, yeah, that's really what I watch. And then, the other guys, different ways of getting over and all that. I don't watch that often. TNA somewhat, but not as much ever since, Steiner getting bumped out and a few of the others. But, sooner or later, we got to move on, Well,
because earlier in the show, David and I were talking about TNA, Ring of Honor. They don't want to be competition for WWE because obviously there's nobody that's going to be able to compete with Vince on his level, not with the money and everything he's got going. But they do need to work to be another option. Well,
for the boys, yeah. I meant really. And it's even good, actually, if Vince, it'd be good for him, to, put in talent, steal talent, because you got to learn. And, the whole idea, I never had a trainer. I learned night after night. And you got to learn running the road, getting in the ring, working it, So, yeah, I'm surprised Vince don't even try to help him out, though. But, you saw what he did with WCW, so.
He bought it and killed it, and
well, he just did that out of, how you could kill me off and saying and doing all that stupid crap and messing with my talent. In his own way, he had every right to do what he did, so. If they'd all just been cordial, everybody, but you know how it is, competition, that runs deep, so. That's it, so.
Right.
But
now after teaming with Hayes and all that and the Superclash, you went on in the 90s. You went on to Global Wrestling Federation. And
but
how long was your run there?
Well, it was pretty good. I was working Japan. That's where I was at. And when JR called me twice with his head of talent. You know, I just declined. I didn't want to run the road that hard, because they were killing those guys back then. Even like they're not now. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, they were running those guys like dogs. And then they were just, you know, like with WCW, too much of the clique going on. And then with New York, you know, I already heard about what was up there in that clique, and they already had a blonde-haired guy, and I don't think he'd have liked me being there. So, you know, so I just did my gig in Japan, and it was, I had a great gig, and then I'd work Indies and then the GWF. So
now Global is being seen. Now Global is being seen again now on ESPN Classic. So there's a whole new generation of group that's actually seeing the work that you did back then now.
Oh, I'm telling you, you live forever. Me and Scooby-Doo, baby. And, my kids, well, I laugh, you know, where my kids at. They're like, you know, they're so used to it. They're like, oh, geez, last people want his dad jumping around. But, no, it's a blast, you know, getting calls from everywhere, all over. And then going back and critique the work, because, you know, it's kind of funny when I watch it, you know, because they had a lot of talent they were trying to bring in and new stuff, and then older guys that could work. You know, those matches were either really, really good, but, man, and I kill over laughing some of it, because those were really kind of the drizzling shit, you know. And, I mean, there was some, ooh, you know. And, but, you know, I love watching John Tatum work. I'm telling you, the guy, him and Stan Lane, two guys that could get me laughing in the ring. I'd get in trouble with the office, you know. Especially on TV, I'd be over there laughing, and they're trying to set heat. But I love, and then, you know, Rugged Rod, and so some good workers. I mean, Manny was there. You know, you had Eddie Cooper. You know, he was a great booker, a great mind for the business. And you just go down the list of a lot of guys you never seen before or after. So
now, if you had to pick your favorite opponent to work with out of your career, who would that be?
You know, see, back in my day, we did ask that. Really, you know, you walk in, if you didn't know who they were, they'd tell you either, you know, this, that, and the other. But really what you want to be is any guy that was especially me, I spent most of my career as a baby face. So, you know, 20 to 25-minute matches, and I'm getting bounced and selling. But, and can get some good heat. But just good workers back then. You know, it's a 9-off. If they get a shot, we got to do this. They pull the heat. We work the match. I was happy. And then you pretty well steal the show. And because, you know, I love working like with Iceman, Samoans, you know, JBL, you know, you go up against Steiner, or you see what I'm saying? All those guys, you know, if they were pros in their work, you know, but probably the best growth and tempo, and really, because, you know, I was real, I'm stiff and I work hard, you know. But I love working tag with the Samoans. It was fun, you know. It's just a different style. And, you know, tag team, that's why you don't see much of it anymore. It's an art form. And it's just a whole different style of work, a whole different deal. But it just, by working with those guys, expanded my whole repertoire of being single. I can work doubles, you know, 6-man tag, running. You know, there's a lot more chaos going on. And you know, I can work it, you know, really help me with my whole overall skill set in the ring. So, but yeah, I do. You know, with Sam, you never knew what to expect. You know, Fatu is even killed, but Sam, boy, there's some days he gets in there, and God, here we go.
Now, you mentioned WWE, that one of the guys you like is the Usos.
Yeah.
And obviously, you know, the Usos are probably one of the best tag teams in WWE. They don't have a big tag team base.
No.
But, I mean, they're definitely great. And right now, they're in a program with a team that I'm impressed with. I really enjoy them, which is Harper and Rowan, who are working as members of the Wyatt family.
Yeah, yeah. Well, see, I knew those twins when they were kids. You know, they were always hanging around in the locker room and stuff. You know, and that's the reason I really kind of started watching them. You know, it's Fatu's kid, but you know, the Samoans, as you well know and notice, those boys, they're workers. They're good. You know, they take pride in that, and there's a family heritage. Yeah, I really haven't seen the angles much, but I just know eventually they're going to get to be at a PowerPoint where they're going to have to really try to pull together and it'd be great, pull together a couple guys, 4 guys, 8 guys, and make they could do some mean-ass runs, because you got the Shield, they broke apart, but, some True Blue tag, different angles managers, and those boys could carry it, and it just, when they say the business, less is more, and then have big wrecks, they can do all that. They can work big and work against some big-time players.
So, a lot of these guys you were mentioning, you knew them back, like I said, when they were kids. And all that.
Yeah.
Did you see that, or are you surprised to see them in the ring now, knowing them as children back then, or did you think that's just kind of something that was going to happen based on being part of that family? Not just the Usos, but, Randy Orton and all those. It's all in their family.
Right. Well, see, I tell people, I know the business. I mean, I know it. I did it, learned it this. I know it. Now, then there's those boys, like you just said, they are the business. The McMahons, the Samoans, the Guerreros. You see what I'm saying? I know it. There's a privilege to be allowed in and to see that world, to work in that world. And then those guys, they grow up in it, and they'll all tell you they're not pushed to be in that business, but that you can't help but want to be in the business, especially Alpha and Sika, but Orton, and that's what I'm saying. Like I may know the business, but they are the business. Big difference. So they got a lot more burden to carry, and they're good at what they do.
Oh, definitely. Very good at what they do. I enjoy the Usos. And like I said, if you get a chance, they're working right now with the program with, like I said, Harper and Rowan, 2 guys from the developmental territory WWE has, their developmental group in Florida. But if you get a chance, you check it out. I mean, Jimmy and Jay are awesome. They've got great opponents they're working with. So.
Yeah, and that's what they need, because literally you got to find guys. Because it's funny, that's the same reason they signed me to work with Michael instead of Jimmy Jam. I was laughing. Fatu said, because they really kind of, Michael wanted to bring in Jimmy, and they're like, no, we want this guy, because I was filling in until they tried to figure out what to do, and they're like, he's the guy. And these, if they had Michael and Jimmy, they'd have nothing but a pile of glitter every night. You know what I'm saying? The way they work. And I know them boys work in the same style. I mean, it's rough, tough out there. And hats off to Fatu. And it's like I tell people, where would I send my son to go? But after they're done with me, I literally go to Sam, Fatu, but Fatu's on the road a little bit much. But Gangrel's doing good training out on the West Coast. And definitely any Guerrero, So, because the Guerreros, you talk to any back in my day, Bill Watts, Fritz, Geigel, Chavo was the man as far as training, and because really the first angle like Rick Steiner ran, it was kind of a weird combo. Was Bill to get heels or babies caught up would always work him against Chavo. So, but yeah, I was just fortunate enough to be around that kind of second, third generation people. Now, in
2015, next year, we've just announced you're going to be going into the IHWE Southern Wrestling Hall of Fame, going along the class with Tim Storm and the Von Erich family. How does that feel to be acknowledged, in the Southern Wrestling Hall of Fame and all that for something that, as a lot of you guys said, it was your job. It's what you wanted to do. How does it feel to be acknowledged now for everything?
Well, no, I'm with you. I thank you very much for putting me, getting me in the Hall of Fame and even being mentioned or even suggested to be part of that, especially going in with the Von Erichs, because, I love that family because, Fritz and the boys, bottom line, it was their play period. They allowed me to be in there for a long time. And because, I was always I could never be the top baby face, but I really wasn't like Chris. I didn't mind my spot. You know what I'm saying? I was always that semi and all that. But, that's quite the honor, to be even up for, let alone get put in it. So, and especially, in Tim Storm, that'd be a good one. And thank you. Thank you very much.
Oh, definitely. No problem. I'm hoping to make it out for that ceremony. So maybe I'll finally get a chance to meet you and all that. So,
well, I told my wife we're gonna start going to that Cauliflower LA Club. I talked to too many people. It sounds like a good time out there.
50th anniversary reunion next year, April 13th, 14th, and 15th, I believe, are the dates.
Oh, I'll be there, and but thank you, and it is an honor, to be a part of that. So, and that'll be good.
Well, let me add now, if you do make it to the reunion at Cauliflower Alley in Vegas next year, IHWE, we will have a table there in the Nostalgia Room. We're going to be doing a live podcast in there. I would love to have you as a guest of IHWE for, a little while to come and sit and meet some of the fans and all that. So, if you're still inclined, the door's open. We'd love to have you as a guest.
Oh, you bet. Yeah, because it always goes back to, back in my day, wrestling was almost kind of like an underground, but, I love the fans. There's nothing like wrestling fans. They ain't like a, NFL football team fan or basketball. Wrestling fans, there's nothing like them. You know what I'm saying? And, when I first got in, it was kind of different fun, but, once great people salt of the earth, and they allowed me to do what I love to do, and I can't ever say enough. They're very loyal, and you saw like with the Von Erichs, they can't hardly sell out crap. Von Erichs are on the card down in Dallas, bam, sold out. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's just fan. That's just they're loyal. They're your fan. I mean, they're very loyal to you. So
one thing I've learned working on Encyclopedia, WCCW, and all that, the fan base in Texas is a fan base that I don't think I've ever seen anywhere. To those people, to those fans, you guys are still just as big now as you were then. I can't dare say a bad word about anybody there because I'm afraid they're going to come to California and find me. But it's a very loyal fan base and all that. So
yeah, it's those folks are. I mean, it's just not real, but people don't realize they were going to do a big schmoz at Six Flags. It's me, Chris Adams, the Von Erich boys, and literally, think about it, this before social media, and it got out, it was on the radio. They literally had to shut down Six Flags, and the fans literally tore down sections of the fence to get in. I kid you not. You ain't just sitting there. And it's probably the only time in my life, and I'm a big boy, I'm sitting there thinking, sheesh, I'm going to get killed by a bunch of women. You know what I mean? Literally, they were just swarming it. And, but, I'm talking thousands. And they literally tore down sections of Six Flags. They actually had to bring in all these cops and riot, and no joke. I mean, if you didn't see it, you couldn't believe it. And those boys are just good old boy country boys and great guys. And again, like I said, I can never talk. I owe them a lot. So because very few baby faces got to hang at the level I did all the time. Because just they were the top dogs. They were the baby faces. And they worked me real nice, tagging, singles. I worked a lot with Kevin. I worked a lot with Terry. When one couldn't make it, I always was filling in for the brothers. So, I love the hell out of them. I owe those guys a lot.
Well, unfortunately, we're going to have to come to a close on this interview. Now, a few minutes ago, you said you had one story you could share with us from Chicago from Super Clash. Maybe if you want to close with that.
Okay, this is a good story. It's a little risque, but, it's just the way it was back in the business. We're in a limo, and we're going by this bar, and all these people are outside, and it had a sunroof, and we told the guy, we're going to get out and stop. Anyway, Michael stood up in the sunroof, and was doing Michael PSAs. He had the crowd rocking. There's probably 100 people, he got here. But anyway, we talked to this girl, which, back in the day we called them rats. But anyway, she proceeded to, unzip a certain part of his pants and pull out a certain part of his anatomy and go to work. But Michael was just going on anyway, So I lean over, and I hit the button, and the window goes down, the center window. And all of a sudden, Michael's off on something. He couldn't understand why all these people were just going crazy, and Michael, he's looking around this and this. he kind of popped down. He looked down. He saw that window open, and he just kind of his PSAs. He just kind of shrugged his shoulders and went back to work. Keep it up. But yeah, I was just, oh man, we were rolling. But it took Mike a while to figure out why this crowd was just popping. And this girl, she was auditioning, and it was just hilarious though. And Michael was a single guy, people. So that's all hunky dory. There wasn't no wives involved or anything like that. So. That's just the thing he did, but it was funny. Now, she was a little embarrassed, but because, everybody, we had everybody asking for her autograph, She knew Michael in a
There you go.
But anyway, I hope that's not too risky, but anyway, that's just one of the stories.
I think we're okay.
Okay, all right. But, hey, I am so happy. Thank you for getting me in there, and just tell me what you need. Call me anytime, and you're just scratching the surface, brother. So if you ever need some more and this, that, and the other, let me know.
All right, I appreciate it. And if you got a brief minute, you want to let the fans know where they can find you now and all that, the floor is yours.
Well, it's so funny, I guess, but Watts always had me like Dr. Death Steve Williams, and sometimes I tell you I got to do it in there. But anyway, just Steve Cox, Tulsa, Oklahoma. The guy, I got an old picture of him because you see me now, you just go, dang, But anyway, with blonde hair, Malik, I got my son, I got Tokyo, Horiyamoto, the kid he works out he's an indie guy out of Florida and all that, paid the face, great worker. Probably the only guy I've ever seen lately. Damn, that is old school work right there. You know what I'm saying? Tip my hat to you, brother, because, I keep thinking it's a lost art and dying out. And then my Chavo Guerrero Sr. on my deal. So you see that, and that. You found the right page, and I own quite a few people, that and the other. So come look for me. I'm pretty easy to get, friend, and do a lot of wrestling talk. I'm part of a lot of different wrestling deals, and I throw my 2 cents in every now and then. So, but if you want to come and get on, just give me a friend request. We're good to go.
All right, thank you. And thank you for joining us on Steve, and we'll definitely have you back on again soon.
All right. Hey, everybody have a good night. Stay safe, and God loves you.
All right, everybody. That was Do It To It, Steve Cox, live on IHWE Radio. And I am going to be joined once again by my illustrious co-host. I hope. Man, come on. David.
Yeah, am I here?
Yeah, you're here, and we still got a show, man. That was a hell of a story about Michael Hayes there at the end.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know. Is a Michael Elliott on the line? Is one of these numbers Michael Elliott?
We got 2 people on the line.
Yeah, we do, but one of them, we only got like 10 minutes. Well, not 10 minutes, but. Hold on.
Live radio. We don't know who we have going on here. I'm going to go with the longest one. Is going to be Michael.
No. Hold on.
Okay.
Oh.
You got all the answers.
I do. That's why I'm the director temporarily until you completely take my show away from me.
I will never completely take your show away from you. We've discussed it. I will always have you as proudly have you as a member of my team.
All right. Well, I appreciate that. Okay.
Besides, who else am I going to have to figure out who's who on the line?
That's true. Joe, if you're at home, probably in painkiller land because of dental work. Hey, Terry Sims is on the line. Let's bring him on.
All righty.
All right. Now I'm gonna tell a story about this guy before we get him on, and then Michael Elliott. Hang on real quick. So Joshua, Texas, 1989. This guy, Terry Garvin, and he's on Channel 11 every Saturday night doing his thing, and so we go to see him and Gentleman Chris Adams. And I followed this guy around. He went in and bought a soda, and he complained that he had to pay for it because the cashier didn't know who he was. And I proceeded to follow him around, and I followed him. A few people did, but I was persistent because this was the first wrestler that I'd ever met right there in front of me. And I remember I threw every name at him, and he said, "Oh, I can beat Hulk Hogan. I can beat all those guys. Those guys can't hang with me." And then, but anyway, and I remember that. So that shows you how good this guy was. Terry Sims is on the line with us. He has a podcast, I believe it's every Tuesday night. We're going to have him on. He's on the line. Terry, welcome to IHWE Radio.
Well, thank you, man. Thank you very much. I just saw where Steve Cox was on. I call in just as I didn't know, when your show was on, what night it was on. I should know. But I saw Steve was on. I jumped on there to get in, man, and he pops off. Story of my life.
Well, you are
story of my life. But funny thing is I do remember that. We spoke about that, but I do remember you even gave me hell.
I did.
Said something smart aleck to me, didn't you? In that store.
I did.
What were you, about 11, 12?
I was younger than that. I think I was 8 or 9. This was 1989.
You were small. I mean, you were little guy. I thought.
I haven't grown much. But you had a very unique character. You had a very unique character, and you were really ahead of your time. You would incite crowds. You were really, and you were good at different roles. You were great as a color commentator. You were great on interviews. You were great in the ring. You were one of those few performers that could do it all. And I remember the heat you used to draw, but it always stuck in my mind, Terry, always, as I started training in this business, and even today. I mean, that was 1989, and I remember it like it was yesterday. So that shows you the impact that you had.
Wow, I really, really appreciate that. I mean, you don't know what that means to me, David. I've never thought of myself as a great wrestler. I knew that I wasn't the biggest guy, the most talented guy. I had a natural ability to make people mad. Sometimes the wrestlers, too, as a matter of fact. Back in the back, even. But the Beauty and the Beast actually was Jerry. I came up with the Beauty and the Beast name because I was a hairdresser, and Mark Gouline, who was the Beast, he was, a little bigger guy, and he looked a little different than me. I looked one way, he looked the other, and he could talk. I mean, he was a great talker. In fact, they used him in Memphis as a manager of the Midnight Rockers, believe it or not, Jannetty and Michaels. Which later became the Rockers and the WWF. But anyway, I came up with that because of the beauty thing, me doing hair, and the movie was coming out. Beauty and the Beast, the movie, was coming out, and they'd been making a big deal out of that for some time. So I was called Garvin because I looked so much like Jimmy Garvin. Everybody called me Garvin, and I always said that I was better looking, but he will argue even this day that he is, but he's wrong. But, it means a lot to me when people like yourself and Michael McCurdy, tell me that they enjoyed what I did and they enjoyed my performance. As I said, I never thought I was great, but I thought I'd try, and that's what Texas really liked.
I agree. Michael, since we kind of got a bonus guest here, is there anything you want to ask Terry since this is a bonus?
Oh, this is definitely a bonus. Terry, thanks for joining us tonight, man. Sorry we couldn't keep Steve on the line there long enough. You know, if I'd known you were going to try to call in, we might have tried to hold on to him for a few more minutes. But thanks for joining us.
I think Steve might have got off the line.
Hey, man, my pleasure. My pleasure completely. Like I said, I am not good with the computer as far as bookmarking. You know, people talk about this and that. I can't even find my own show sometimes. If I didn't know the number to call in, I'd miss it every week, you know. But, I really wanted to call in and talk to Steve, and it just so happened that, you know how it is. I'm sure you both know how it is when you get 1,000 friends or more. It's hard to see what everyone's doing, and I don't spend a whole lot of time on the news feeds. You know, I go on and I answer questions. I talk to people that write me. I play a little poker like with Joel Deaton, but, you know, I'm not on all the time. I surf the web and I do things, but, you know, I did listen to your show with Gary Young and Cactus Jack. Great show. I appreciate what you all are doing for the wrestling business. I really do. David, I appreciate what you're doing in Texas. The promotion I've heard nothing but very, very good things about. And, you know, that's rare nowadays. That's really rare. And my hat's off to you. Michael, man, I'll tell you what, he actually bought the Beauty's pink robe. You know, I'm sure you know the story, David, but I won't go into it. And that meant the world to me because it was for, you know, I sold it for to make a donation to the Heart Association, which is what my father passed away of. And I just wanted to come on when somebody was on here that I knew and tell you all that I appreciate both of you. I appreciate everything that both of you do for the wrestling business. Michael should be a wrestler because he could probably kick the heck out of all of us as big as he is.
I think I'm a little too old to start the wrestling career now.
How old are you?
I'll be 42 in October.
Nah, never too old, man, as long as you got...
Well, you know, Terry, thank you. Like I said, thank you for joining us here. Now, with the wonders of live radio and the wonders of modern technology and cell phones, I was able to send a quick message, and we've got Steve back on the line.
Wow. Great.
Steve, you there?
Yes, sir.
All right, Terry.
Steve, my friend.
Oh, I'm telling you. Yeah.
I called in, man, like I was just telling them. I was flipping through Facebook. I just got off another show, and I was flipping through it, and I saw where David said he was taking a break on this, and I said, man, I got to call in and give Cox some kudos, you know.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah.
Hey, brother, you were old school. You were one tough son of a gun. I don't know if you two know this. I don't know if your audience knows this, but Steve dropped me on my head in my hometown on a pay-per-view, and it was I was like that. You know that cartoon where the coyote anvil falls on his head, and little birdies fly around up in the air. That was me after Steve belly to back suplexed me on my top of my head.
Well, you know, I told you this, and I've apologized. They, you know, because we built up that big paper, you know, with me and Michael with the SST, and I should have known better, but, you know, fought to this and go out there, stay strong, do this, that, and the other. But, you know, after that match, and the only time I think I've ever really, Michael come up, man, he was he was hot. I apologize, people, but he was hot, yelling at me, and I'm like, oh, crap, what did I do? And because, you know, you're up and coming on the Memphis side, and, you know, I was just doing my job, I thought. And
hey, brother, I'm just kidding you. I am. I always kid you about that, you know. Well, I always do. But hell,
I didn't realize you were in the family. You know, I just seriously, you know, if they'd have said his family is, you know, go out there and do what needs to be done, I'd have been totally different. But, you know, and but you know how it was back, you know, shit, I was a clueless wonder back in the day. But yeah, you're right. You know, we're from that. We got the tail end, didn't we, Terry? That last tail end of territories and old school and way the business was done. And man, when it blew up, it blew up. I mean, it just fell over like a house of cards.
Yeah, the writing was on the wall. You know, it was. I was lucky enough to be in, I guess, 5 territories. I don't know how many you were in, but, you know, man, it blew up. Vince saw the writing on the wall. He knew what it was going to be. Everybody says it shouldn't be that way, but it was inevitable. The Von Erichs could have had that because of the power of their television. It was so over. They actually had the number 2 show in Israel behind Baywatch. They were syndicated into a couple hundred markets, and they were all over Texas, you know, on, what was it? They had 2 shows. Was it Channel 5 and 39? Was that the 2?
Well, yeah, they, because, you know, we did TV at the Sportatorium and then out of Fort Worth. And, man, that was like money in the bank, man. They'd sell out Sportatorium and then they'd sell out Fort Worth and then sell out over here. And, I mean, it was just money in the bank, those guys. And but you're right. Yeah, you work 5 territories, and I think I worked most of them myself. And the only one I was about ready to go. The only one, my last one I didn't get to. Well, I didn't get down to Florida. I didn't get to Matt Bourne's dad. You know, up in Oregon.
Portland.
So, Portland, yeah. You know, because I always heard about Portland, and but I was about ready to go up there. You know, Matt called and his dad and. But that fell apart before I got there. But then with Graham, you know, down in Florida, but I think I worked everywhere else, you know, so. But, yeah, you're right. Fritz, you know, he tried to do the respectable thing and stay within his boundaries and, you know, say what you want about Vince, you know. He's the last man standing and then some. I mean, if there's a guy that knows the business and now he directs the business, that's him.
Right. I think that we all know, all 4 of us, that in order for the wrestling business may never be what it was in our lifetime or our kids' lifetime, but our grandkids may be, because it's going to have to die, you know, before it comes back.
Well, I've seen, man, I'm telling you, NWA down in Houston, you got Sam Move popping good crowds. I'm just telling you, there's some people out here that are starting, you know, Fatu's doing some stuff on the West Coast. Look at Shane Douglas, what he's doing. He's, you know, Shane, he's pretty dang good about shaking bacon, you know, out of that. But, you know, they're starting to get some big-time houses going, you know, and because, you know, Vince can't cover it all. I don't even think Vince cares anymore if he could cover it all, but, there's some places up through the Northeast and all that where they're starting to have sellouts. They're smaller venues. What I mean by that, they don't 4,000 to 6,000, but man, they're sold out. And the right type of talent in the nighttime would do. But I still had a lab look, and we're trying to work with a guy down there in Texas, Tony Martin, and that, and start booking those boys down there and run that area. Because, jeez, I tell you what, I'm not the smartest man in the book, but them boys, well, actually, kudos to Kevin, but they popped, man. They loaded up that house. Galveston, same thing, and getting on board. So, but yeah, I think you're right, Terry, per se. The thing that's lost is what we knew and how you learned it and how everybody worked it. It's either we're going to do a house show, what do you need? You know what I'm saying? You could work top to bottom. You got a 2-minute hard match, on TV all the way to, I need a 60-minute Broadway. But you can't learn that. Like, I don't know how they do it, because, Terry, you probably never went to the gym really train breaking in. Oh, well, you did, and I never did. Like, actually go to the gym every day, get in the ring and bounce around and be a wrestler. And I still, at times, I'm working with a group up here, how do you get your arms around that to train these kids? And you're kind of broken down like I am on my hip, but, I wish I'd go back in the day. I show them the tempo, and how I got a pretty heavy touch. But because everybody thinks they know the business now, but it's that stuff that's lost. That's going to be the lost art. And, it kind of goes back to what James Beer is talking about, getting in there and trying to at least pass on all that knowledge. Because, Terry, you're probably like, hey, what do you have, about 4,000 matches? 3,500, 4,000?
I would say, I don't know. I saw online, this is kind of funny, but I saw online on one of those things that said I had like 400 matches. Now, the only thing I could figure with that was 400 television matches, maybe.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Because I mean, yeah.
Because, as well as I do, we were running, man, 7 nights a week, a lot of times, and a lot of times 2 times a day, right?
Yeah. We did that.
And it doesn't take very long to I've worked over 300 days in a year before, and I'm sure you have too.
Well, see, that's what I said. I try to put a business to it myself, start doing some figuring, and I do know, my first couple of years, heck, because you remember how we get our booking sheet, and you're anywhere from 22 to 44 days straight. And, the further out people go, the loopier they get, don't they?
Oh, yeah, man. The more, it's funny because the guys do, and I've heard talk about this, and this really is true, but more of we did some airplane travel, that. We all did. I flew back and forth a lot, quite a bit. Between Memphis and Dallas, I was doing both ends, and then with Dallas, you flew to Chicago and worked up in Milwaukee and different places, and something that these guys today don't realize is we made some 300 and 400 mile car or one-way trips, that were usually loops, but to get to the first town, it'd be 400. The next night, it'd be 2, stuff like that. And a lot of times you'd learn in those cars from people that had been in the business, like the Akbars and the Bronco Lubitches and people like
true.
that,
That's where you learn. That's where you learn. That's where you talk everything through and learn. And, so, but, it's funny you say that. I tell people back in the day, when you go, how far is it to the next town? Well, vets will tell you it's a 3 beer, 6 beer, or 8 beer, or, It's 8-beer drive, you know, you're like, what? and, you know, after a while, you're like, damn, it is an 8-beer drive. Dang, you know, but yeah, that's where those kids don't get that, like you're saying, in a training school. You know, you kept your mouth shut and sat over in the corner and listen to these guys talk about the business, what they do, because, you know, everybody's always trying to polish up. You're never too good, so. But, yeah, running that road in that car.
Steve and David, Michael, I'm sorry, we're probably over your time limit.
No.
And we're monopolizing the conversation here. Are we okay?
No, go ahead. No, this is what we love about this show is stuff like this. So.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Well, what you have to realize is, you know, I started my career. I had my first match in '86, I guess, and you know, I did a lot of I was a hairdresser. That's a well-told story, and I had hair salons in Nashville. I would work all day long in those hair salons, and then I would drive, 200 miles for very little money, maybe even more than that, just to get experience, and I would do that on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And in the hair business, Friday and Saturday are the biggest days, you know, so I would double book. I'd have appointment after appointment after appointment, and I would bust my butt to get out of there and then drive 150 miles an hour. Seriously, 120 miles an hour to get to town. But here's the thing, okay? The first match that was in the ring could have a great match, couldn't they, Steve?
Yeah.
And remember promoters telling you, do not throw a punch. If you pick a chair up, you'll get fined. If you do this, you'll get fined. There were just rules, you know. The first matches on the card, they wrestled. And they were holes. They were.
They had to, because you see these young kids nowadays, Terry, first 2-3 matches, they burn up the rest of the card. I mean, what else are you going to do? You know what I mean? And then, because God forbid we just work an arm. You know what I'm saying? I used to laugh because, you know, those guys, what we're going to do tonight is, well, let's start slow and taper off. Independent, but you know, the most important match was the first match. You know, and you set kind of the tempo, and everybody gets a feel for the crowd. Let some boys know what's out there. Who's what? Is it a hill crowd, a baby crowd? What are they going? Easy pop, hard work. We got to go out there, you know, down. And this is it deeper into the card. You know, how much work do they got to do up front to get where it needs to be to finish out the back? And but you're right. You know, we did. We run it, and we did it on our head. We didn't even know that. That's just what the business was. You know, finish in Houston and drive to New Orleans. You know, and get there and then work all around New Orleans. And from New Orleans, then you go back up to Little Rock over to Kansas City. We'd be running, but you're right. And but yeah, and I always thought that was a rib, you being a hairdresser. I didn't know that, so.
No, it's shoot, man. It's an absolute shoot. That's how I came up with beauty. You know, I look like Jimmy Garvin. And I don't know if you knew this or if you guys knew this, but the pink mat, okay, people think that I was first to do that. No, I was not. In the early 70s in Memphis, believe it or not, the original Terry Garvin, which this was a rib on me because I did not know that there was another person named Terry Garvin. And Ronnie Garvin was telling me just recently when we were at a reunion together last year in Tennessee, he came in Jarrett told him, said, I'll guarantee you, I think it was like $500 a week, you'll make more. And he said, you'll make $500 in Memphis a week. And that was a lot of money back then. And he didn't want to wrestle doing that gimmick, and that's how he got the name Garvin.
Well, I always wondered that one because, it's funny. When I was working, when we did that Texas-Memphis thing, and I finally, you know how you always ask people, moneymakers, to come watch your match and critique it, and I had a kid come ask me to watch his match, and I was laughing because, literally I was a stooge, clueless wonder when I broke into business, and so I'm sitting there, I go, well, the first thing you got to do is change your name. And he goes, why? That's because there's another Steve Williams, Dr. Death. And he goes, really? I go, yeah. and we got to talk to him. He told me he's from Texas. I said, Texas? I said, shoot, you're coming with us because, Chris Adams just opened up his training school. And so he says, it costs a lot. I don't even know, but you can't hurt you because if you're working with Chris, you'll be into the sportatorium. And, that was stone cold, but that was so funny when he was, because, he's man, he got this kid kind of big like you and blonde hair, but same kind of deal, different name. But here I come in and, use my real name and that kind of a deal. But, yeah, that Garvin, because, I was sitting there going, you don't look nothing like Ronnie. And, because, I've had an opportunity to work some cards with Ronnie, with the towel around his neck. And, well, you just talk about a guy who just pretty well his two big moves were hitch in the head and hitch in the head and hitch in the head. Was the hands of stone or whatever. So he is a good worker, though. Don't get me wrong, but,
He could chop, dude. He would draw blood. When he chopped you, it was a chop.
Yeah, they used to laugh at me because as soon as I got one chop, you'd hear me I'd be walking down them ropes going, gotta go. I hated that. Those guys that get chopped, I'd take one chop and say, oh, shit, no, I'm out of here. Gotta go. When they're looking at me, I'd be selling bad. I'm having a heart attack. Oh, gotta go. I'm out of here. Yeah.
Well, there's no adage in wrestling. And, man, this is really, really true. I never realized how much it was true until I changed. But the more hated you are as a heel, the more you're loved as a babyface.
Yeah.
And, as a heel, of course, when I was hated in Memphis. I was hated everywhere I went. Because, man, it was to me, okay, I played sports, okay, but I wanted to make money, and I was not a big guy like you. I was not a football player for Tulsa University like you. I was not, the athlete like you were. So I had to rely on being able to not only get in the ring and perform, but piss people off, talk on the mic, all that stuff.
Well, but you got that old school heat. I didn't have to work hard. You see, most of my career, it was so bad. I was even a damn baby face in Japan. How many guys, James, you see baby face in Japan? And you know what I'm saying? You get that old school heat, and a lot of these kids again today have no idea how to work a mic, how to work a match, how to do your work. Just like you said, I'm this size, but your work matched up to the bigger guys, and then you're able to utilize it. And I'd sell, and you get that heat and go on about your way. But it's just, the better the heel, the more night off I had. You know what I'm saying? Because you guys can work your gimmick. I'll just sit over here and sell. A Rock and Roll Express.
Sure.
Like Robert. Hell, I'll sell for the next 20 minutes. Just come back when you need me. And you guys can walk and talk.
That was my deal, man. I sold my butt off when I was babyface. I sold. And I mean, I sold for job guys, you know. Buddy Roberts, he explained to me one time on TV, he sold for a guy that everybody beat up every week. And we got talking about it, and he said, man, I'm from the school where, you know, if the people think that even a little lowly job guy that everybody beats can beat you, then you're beating somebody and you'll get that much more heat. So I tried to, you know, I tried to go in that direction, okay?
Yeah.
And
well, I just say it makes it easier. And then plus, you know, when you did do something, it counted. And because I tell you, when I broke in, hell, my first match was Mike George. And Eli that eliminated those guys. Hell, you couldn't help yourself. Sheesh, every night, man, I was, you know, I dumped you, but hell, I got dumped many of a night. That's where you learn survival skills, you know, but.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you were a night off, actually. I just like giving you hell.
Yeah. They, oh, yeah, I just, you know, do less is more, you know, make it count, and here we go. And, but no, I had a good time. It was a good time. And we didn't even know. It wouldn't even like work, you know. Hell, we're just up running around doing our thing and having a good time doing it.
Isn't that the truth? I think that all four of us, David and Michael and you and I, are on here talking right now because we love wrestling. Is that correct, guys?
Yeah.
Well, actually, you two are on talking. We're just listening, so. But, yes, we all love wrestling on here, and we love to promote it and all that and the goodwill of everything. So, yes, I will definitely agree with you on that one.
Yeah. Oh,
you know,
great.
I kind of feel bad because, again, we've taken your show over, man. Wow. But, you know, the thing is we got in there and we watched it as kids, and we were lucky enough to earn pretty good livings and make some pretty good paychecks doing something that we loved.
Oh, I'm telling you.
Am I right with that, Steve?
No, I'm telling you. I tell people, you know, if you're lucky enough in life, you'll be a pro football player, pro sports, or a rock star, or a pro wrestler. And when people talk about passion or, you know, love of the deal, you get to where it's just your focus. And, you know, every night getting up, you know, you gear up at 7, you go out there and do rock it out, and have your time, but running the road, like you're saying, the way we travel and did it, you got to have a passion and love for it. And they did. And it was, you know, hanging around those kind of guys. And, you know, where every night when everyone's lacing up, moving up, and you start hearing that crowd, first match, this match, what's working, everybody feeding everybody what needs to be done, this, that, and the other. And man, everybody trying to steal the show. That's another thing, too, Terry, is, you know, back in our day. You know, sometimes that opening match or the second match, I mean, everybody's working their gimmick and working their matches where, you know, you better bring it. And by the time you do get to the main event, though, you know, they had what it took, and they were there for a reason. But man, they'd have that place rocking. You know, man, just from the first match to the last match, and you know the main event draws, but you know all the guys working together, it was a total event. But yeah, I feel blessed and very fortunate. You know, as they say, live a life worth telling. We did it. You know, so.
Absolutely. And you know what you said about...
Excuse me. Sorry,
yeah.
I hate to jump in here, but we're coming up on the end of our show and all that. But I would like to extend an invitation to you right now. If you guys are interested, 2 weeks from today, July 9th, we have an open spot on our show. If you guys are interested, I would love to invite you guys back on in 2 weeks. We'll continue on with this conversation. And on Facebook, it was asked that James Beard hopes that, you know, that Steve isn't telling any lies about him. So we're going to see if maybe we can get James on, and we'll just kind of let the three of you have a little conversation in about 2 weeks. How's that sound?
Great.
Ed,
I'm there.
I can do that.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I don't have my calendar.
Guys,
I mean, I'm in the bathroom. I hate to say that, but I think I can do that.
Well, it's been awesome, guys, and yeah, let's get with both of y'all and let's get another. We love having roundtables on here. It's just been fantastic, Steve. You know, we've talked on Facebook. We're going to induct you into the Hall of Fame next year. Terry, your Hall of Fame spot. Your Hall of Fame spot is just it's being kept warm for you. You know, James Beard's on the panel, and I love doing it. And I just want to honor guys like both of y'all because I grew up watching you both. I don't tell you that to make you feel seasoned. I tell you that because it's a shoot. And you guys have been really cool to me since I've spoken to both of y'all. So let's get you back on here in the future. We're going to wrap the show up. But, again, thank you both for calling in because this has been awesome.
Oh, man, thanks. I'll get off here. Steve, call me or send me a message, man, and we'll do it again.
We're talking in that backside anyway, brother. You know that. Because we both got the same kind of background. Just country boys that had a good time. So,
there you go.
Let me know. I'm gone. I'm going to go kiss my baby goodnight and get some rest. Y'all have a great one, and thank you very much. Thank you again for getting me in the Hall of Fame. Appreciate you guys.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you both. Good night, Terry.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Bye-bye.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got about 5 minutes left here. That was 2015 Southern Wrestling Hall of Fame member Steve Do It To It Cox from Oklahoma. And Terry Sims, who wrestled over the years, was Terry Garden and Terry Sims. I remember him from a gas station in Joshua, Texas, and I'm glad he remembered that. But it's all right, Michael. It's all right to lose control of a show like this because when you got two guys on there that are just telling stories, that's what this show's all about. So,
definitely. And like I said, the invitation's out there, so I'm going to start working on it now. It's getting back on 2 weeks. July 9th, let's go again.
Yeah, let's do it.
But we got to get James on, That way they can't tell us.
Yeah, we do. That's right. That's right, because James will holler at both of us if we don't.
There you go. Now, speaking of lies, great segue. Next week, July 2nd, as always, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, 6 p.m. Pacific, we are going to be joined by indie wrestling personality, TNA wrestling personality, and reality TV star Johnny Fairplay. Now, when you talk about lies, we all know. We've all seen Survivor. We're going to talk about Survivor. We're going to talk about wrestling. I'm going to ask about Grandma. So next week we're being joined by Johnny Fairplay. I think that's going to be a great interview.
Yeah, and we've got some big stuff coming in the next few weeks. July 16th, we're going to have a tribute to the Texas Wrestling Hall of Famer, Terry Bam Bam Gordy. Connie Gordy will be on here, and I'm working on some big guests for that too. So,
and July 23rd, we will be joined by Gremlina, Hollywood, MTV, Dallas, and Little Mama from Glow. Finally got it together. July 23rd, we're having the Glow reunion.
Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling, a pop culture phenomenon, is coming to IHWE Radio. That just shows you the growth of this show since January. All right, real quick. Michael, you want to do your plugs first, or do you want me to go?
I can shoot mine out real fast. As always, you can find me on Facebook at Facebook.com/Encyclopedia WCCW, or Encyclopedia World Class. Sorry, I got a little ahead of myself. You can also find me on Twitter at Encyclo WCCW. There is now the IHWE Radio fan page on Facebook. Just search. Yes, ma'am, 90 seconds. Just search for IHWE Professional Wrestling Radio. Like the page. We'll be posting updates, links to the show, and all that. Thank you for joining us. David, take it away.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, starting Wednesday night, July 30th, directly after IHWE Radio at 10 p.m. Central Standard Time, you can watch IHWE TV, weekly episodic professional wrestling from Dallas-Fort Worth returns, and this time you can watch it on any device, anywhere in the world, anytime you want. You will see the best professional wrestling from the state of Texas, IHWE TV. It begins on July 30th. The superstars of IHWE Pro Wrestling will be lighting it up for you. find us at IHWEnow.com. You can get archives of all the IHWE radio shows. You can see a new episode of IHWE TV starting July 30th, and you can get all your IHWE information there. We're on Facebook at IHWE Professional Wrestling. Our YouTube page is IHWE2009. I'm on Twitter at HXT Fuller. If you want to find me, holler at me on Twitter. Next week we will be here, same IHWE channel, same IHWE time. Thank you, Steve Dewitt, 2 o'clock. Thank you, Terry Sims, Michael Elliott. We will get you on next week to talk about rock and roll forever, wherever you are, anywhere in the world, ladies and gentlemen. Good night, and be well.
Good night, everybody.